Well, first up, he is a North Melbourne player with a remarkable story. He is Majak Daw.
Good result for North. Here's Mackenzie, wasting no time. Drives it a long way from goal. Oh, Daw! Wow. That is a leap.
Majak Daw, so much has been told about your story, the first Sudanese player to enter the AFL. What do you remember about the time you spent in Sudan?
I was quite young, was 9 at the time. Last time I was there was in 2000. I just remember going to school. Used to live across the road from a school. Mum and Dad heavily involved in church, but just red dirt in the desert, really.
What was life like growing up there, and I suppose the quality of life in Sudan as compared to what you enjoy in Australia?
I suppose we're pretty lucky here to live in such a good country, and I think the health system here is pretty good over there. Quality of life, and people don't live to a certain age. So, and obviously the civil war that was happening at the time. So safety was a big issue, but here you don't really have to worry about that.
Tell us more about that, because it's so hard for us to wrap our heads around it. What that was like, just being a little boy, and you talk about safety. What kind of things did you experience?
Just hearing stories from my parents that kids being abducted and going to war to be child soldiers. So I was pretty lucky that I had 2 parents, and able parents that can provide for me and my brothers and sisters. So there were some scary stories like that going around, and police brutality, and I suppose I'm pretty lucky to be here, to be where I am.
And then you moved on to Egypt after that for a couple of years before you got to come to Australia. Tell us about that experience.
So we moved. Mum and Dad decided it was better. It was the best thing for our family to move to Egypt and try and get a migrant visa, either to come here or go to America. So that was a process. Took 3 years. I went to school in Egypt, played a bit of soccer. Learned to speak Arabic, and after 3 years, finally we were granted a visa to come to Australia. So I arrived here on Australia Day. So
wow.
It was a hot summer, but yeah, that was a long time ago now.
Can you still speak Arabic? Do you remember it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can still speak it. Especially Dad, being a school teacher. I think he still speaks it. He's an interpreter, so it comes handy for his work.
And I imagine it would have been tough to adapt to life in Australia. How was that transition?
Yeah, well, I suppose when I came here, I had to learn how to speak English, and that was pretty hard, believe it or not. But I didn't speak a word of English when I came here.
You've got the hang of it now.
I mean, footy culture helps. So that was a challenge, learning how to speak English, and I suppose adapt again, and yeah.
That's amazing. You've never been back in all this time. It's almost 18 years.
Yeah. So I've never been back. Mum and Dad have been back. They've visited Sudan, and I've got family living in Egypt. My grandfather, so he lives there. It's something I'd like to do before I finish up, and I suppose it'd just be good to see where I grew up and what it was like. But yeah, it would be different. So.
What would that experience be like? Because you said your mum just went back. What was it like for her?
Yeah, it was an emotional trip. I think, just seeing how people live over there. I've seen some photos and videos, and the first time she saw her dad in almost 16 years.
Wow.
So I'll have to go through that pretty soon, because I think it's part of my life that I'd like to reconnect with.
Have you spoken a lot to your parents about the decision-making process to pack up and leave? Because I imagine as parents of 9 children, that would have been really difficult to move the family unit and to also make that decision of, OK, we're going to leave and we're going to do this.
I in bits and pieces, but not in detail. But I think giving up your comforts and leaving, and I suppose they had pretty good jobs, and making that decision and doing the unknown, I think that would have been a very hard decision. So one day I'd like to sit down. There's so many things that I haven't asked about them, and I've just rolled on, just lived here all my life. But I think it's it would put things into perspective for me, and I complain sometimes about how hard training is, or the weather, or coffee's not hot enough. Just the small, small world problems. Yeah. So yeah.
You're a bit of a trailblazer as well within your family, because your sister Mary is a budding football star. Tell us a bit about her footy journey.
Yeah, Mary's going really well. She's playing at the Jets, and since I started playing, a few of my sisters picked up footy, but Mary's got a very good basketball background, and she gave that up to concentrate on footy. She recently made the under-16s Vic Metro squad, so it was funny when I was playing. It was Dad that used to drive me to footy training, but now the roles are reversed. My mum's doing it, so yeah, the workload's being shared around. But yeah, I mean, it's fantastic for girls footy. We're going to have our own team next year, AFLW team. I think it's great that there's representation of women, and it's being shown now. So yeah.
I just can't believe you're one of 9 children. I mean, that is unheard of these days. How have your siblings impacted your career?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, it was chaos around the house. We had to get up really early to get ready for school, but now when I look back, I think, it keeps me grounded. Just knowing, being one of 9 kids, and when I was growing up, all we had was us, and I suppose they come now and they support me, and I'm an uncle. I've got 3 little nieces, so our family's growing, and no, it's great to have a big family.
Christmas with big families is fun.
Yeah, less presents for me, but more for the younger kids.
And you're a role model as well, and you've really taken ownership of that now, and you feel like you can have a real direct impact on the community. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've had to get my head around. I suppose when I first got drafted as an 18-year-old, finished year 12, and straight to the footy club, I think in the back of my mind, knowing that I'd be the first, being the first one, being a role model didn't really sit too well with me, because I wanted to be like the other draftees, my teammates, and just go about, concentrating on my footy. But I was doing a lot of clinics, doing appearances, and I suppose now I'm a bit older. I take great pride in that. The footy club's been enormous in their support, and I think for young African kids in Melbourne, or in particular, it's good for them to have representation of what they look like, and I'll continue to choose the projects that I want to support. But yeah, it's something I'm really proud of. So
what changed for you? Was it just a maturity thing?
I think it was more getting my head around it. Yeah, I think just having this platform that I can influence people, and and the fact that young kids look up to me, I think I had to get my head around that. Not a lot of people get that opportunity. So,
Majak, there's a story today about Joel Wilkinson, the former Gold Coast player, and he's spoken about the racial abuse that he suffered while playing in his first game at the Suns, and what the AFL could have done more to help him. How do you feel about that, and do you feel like the AFL can be better in that space?
I suppose we're always learning as an industry. Going through it personally, I think it's tough at times, but I think the support that was provided from the footy club and the AFL that was there. But I think it's we've come so far as an industry, and the AFL are doing a great job. And the more we educate people around this topic, and I haven't had it happen to me, for a long time now. So I must say we're doing something about it. But yeah, I mean, it's just you're just going to have to educate each other around this area.
And on the footy field, you're playing down back this season. Do you feel that's where you belong? Because you look really confident.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty versatile. So when Scotty came up and said, "Look, we're gonna try and play as a defender," I was pretty excited, because I've joked about it in the past to my backline coach, but finally got given the all clear to make that my position. So I've had a big pre-season, done a mountain of work in terms of, how to set up as a defender and try and work in with the other guys. So I've really enjoyed it, and I've embraced the role.
Majak, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. We know you've had the foot injury, are hopeful of playing this weekend, so hopefully we see you back out there. But thanks for coming in and sharing it with us.
No worries. Thanks for having me.